Hi, I'm Tom from Fantasia Music, and today we will create this piano track. And let it evolve to sound like this. Hello and welcome to another composing tutorial. In this video I want to show you step by step how I composed this track. We will go through every individual instrument track in the correct order that I added the instruments. I will show you some plugins that I used and just tell you everything that I had in my mind during the composing process. Before we start, if you want to download the MIDI file including all the automation data of this track, you can do that with the link in the video description. Without further talking, let's jump straight in and we will start with our first instrument track, and that was the piano. So I will just deselect the other instruments that we only have the piano. I started that track with the Ólafur Arnalds felt piano from Spitfire Audio. I think most of you know that piano. It's a fantastic sounding felt piano library, and that piano comes with a traditional piano sound and as you can hear, that is some kind of ethereal reverb dreamy tale, and I wanted to have that dialed up quite a lot for that cue. And so I don't have the traditional piano sound, but also that ethereal reverb tail. And the reverb is pretty much at half of the half stage, let's say like that. And the chord progression during the whole piece you can see up there. I started in G minor. Here in the second part there is one chord difference, and then the whole thing repeats and repeats again. Okay, so let's listen to the whole chord progression here one time completely. Okay, so very simple, only that single variation, and the whole block repeats and repeats one more time. What I did additionally, as you can see, I panned that chord track from the piano a little bit to the left. That was a result during the mixing process because I felt that piano was too much in the center and there was too much going on in the center. So I wanted it to have a little bit on the side, and it sounded way better. I know this is not a usual technique to pan the chords to the left and let the melody play in the center, but there is a saying that says what sounds good is good, and I pretty much believe in that rule. So that's why I panned the chords to the left and let the melody in the center. Okay, just to let you know why I did that. And then we have another track for the melody, And I often do that, separating the chord track and the melody track, just to be a bit more flexible if you want to make some adjustments or anything. But as you can see, it's the exact same settings. Also that reverb tail and the reverb, everything at the exact same settings. And together with the chords, so that alone already sounds pretty nice, I think. I will show you a first tip in that stage, a secret tip, let's say it like that. I added an instance of OTT. I don't know if you have heard about that plugin. It's from Xfer. It's completely free. You can download it for free, and it's a multi-band compressor for also saturation. Just have a listen what it does to the piano. And now I turn it on. Bypassed. So I think you get the idea. It gives a little bit more presence and makes it be more in the front. So yeah, that's all that I can tell you for the piano, okay? So the next instrument that I added was the Hans Zimmer strings, and in this case, the 60 celli patch. Let's open it and make it a bit bigger. I chose the long super flautando patch for this. And that is one of the strengths of this library, especially they have some super unique patches that I haven't seen in any other string libraries. So in this case, I went with the long super flautando, and I used the tree microphone only. And yeah, let's give it a listen on its own. So as you can see, it's pretty much copy and paste from the chord progression, but if I take the chord progression as well, let's close this. Yes, you can see the only difference is that the chord progression is panned, quantized hard, sorry, not panned, quantized hard. And the strings, they overlap a little bit, and if I had two repeating notes one after another, I glued them together with that tool, only to have it sound more fluent. And one more tip for you that I did, one adjustment. I went into the reverb is dialed down completely, but the release, I raised it up to 80% because I wanted to, like I said, it should sound more fluent and not have those breaks after each chord. So if you make the release longer, you get that So I think you get the idea, yeah? And yeah, right here you have the modulation. It's nothing special, only a little bit going up and down, bringing in a little bit of movement, and that's pretty much it. Together with the piano, it sounds like this. So that part until here already, that for me as a composer is the first step when I feel like, wow, that sounds already pretty good. We are on the right way. This could result in something good, yeah? Because sometimes you compose and you feel like, I don't know if this will become a YouTube composing tutorial. But this already, I'm pretty happy with it so far. So yeah, let's continue with our next instrument. And the next instrument that I added was the cello, the 60 cello long, once again, but this time another crazy articulation. It's called tremolo concertino pond waves. I don't know if you have heard about that in any other library before, but let's have a listen alone how that articulation sounds. So you can hear completely different sound coming from a complete different side of the room. And that was very exciting to me. Together with the cello that we already have, it sounds like this. I will switch it off. And on. It's not much, but it's very subtle, but I like it. It gives a little bit of a variation. And for that reason, I decided to let this articulation start in the second part and not in the first part, so that we can create a little bit of variation here, okay? And yeah, what I did again, also here, the release 80%, make it a little longer to make it sound fluent, but everything else is pretty much copy and paste from the cello that we had before, okay? So yeah, let's continue with our double bass. So the double bass is playing one instance further down, yeah, one octave. The double bass alone sounds like this. So you can hear this is the real low bass. And also here, again, the modulation, only a bit of movement. And here I used also the long super sul tasto articulation. Yeah, a very unique articulation. Also here, 80% for the release. And what I forgot to mention before, in all those patches, I went with the tree microphone only, okay? So as you can see also here in the cello patch, only the tree microphone position, nothing else. And yeah, that bass line, I left out the first tone, the first note, because it sounded better to me that the bass was starting here at bar 3. Let's listen to all of those instruments together. Without the bass. Now with the bass. So I just played the complete bar 2 as well, because I did not say anything to you about the piano melody, okay? I didn't want to just copy and paste the melody. We copy and paste a lot of tracks, but the melody should be a bit of, yeah, a variation. And in this case, I played an octave higher and also a bit of another melody. So that was the reason why I played it completely for you. But here you can see the melody and the chords in the second part, okay? So yeah, let's continue with our next instruments track, and the last instance of Hans Zimmer strings is the violas. And for this, I used the viola tremolo harmonic waves again from the violas white. Okay, they have different viola patches in that library, but this time it's the violas white. Again, only the tree microphone. The release as well, 80%. So let's listen to that patch on its own. So as you can hear, it's also very subtle, but if I add it and just let play everything together here, you can hear the difference. Oh, sorry, that was a bit more than only the violas. One more time. Okay, so once again, I hope you can hear the difference. It's again very subtle, but that's what I personally like of composing. You don't need one instrument to join the arrangement that dominates completely the whole cue. If you have many subtle additions and instrument changes that you almost cannot hear, in total they make a difference and suddenly you can hear it. So that I hope that makes sense for you. But yeah, I was very happy with those instruments. I have to admit, I also tried to add some violins because we have only instruments here from the lower registers. Okay, the violas, for me, that's the mid-range, but no higher violas. But I left them out because I didn't like it here because the piano is playing in the upper register. Okay, so we are fine here with the cello, the double bass, and the violas. Yeah. So the next instrument that I added was a synth And now it gets really interesting. For those of you who know my Spotify tracks, A New Horizon or Valiant, they know that element within an orchestral arrangement because I'm a great fan of that. Let's listen to that synth on its own, how it sounds. Okay. And for that, I went with a patch from Diva. I hope you can see the whole interface. From Yuhi, I hope they are pronounced like this. It's called Moonlight T. I made some adjustments. That's the way how I work with synthesizers. I know some basic knobs here, and I just try to play a pattern. And when I get into the right sound, I feel like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good, and I leave it. So as you can see, there is an ARP going on, synced to my project, and so on and so on. But I will not dive in too deep into that interface. What I added additionally is another synth because I was not completely happy with the sound of that on its own. But to demonstrate you, I will just play the synth with the piano here together. Okay. So I added another synth. Let's listen to that synth on its own. It's a complete new interface, but also from, let's say, Yuhi. And yeah, the difference in those two synth sounds is the Diva synth is much higher, and together they complement very well together. Let's listen to both of them together. Okay, so I hope you can understand what I was missing here and why I added another synth altogether. Okay, so let's continue with our next instrument, and that is the war booms. You will ask, what is a war boom? That is my abbreviation of that instrument. Let's listen first to the instrument and then you will know what it is. Okay. Those kind of instruments are one of my favorites. I love those sub low booms, and to be honest, in every composition at the beginning I have way too much low end because I'm a great fan of that, and you have to reduce that slightly during the composition. But let's just listen on its own. Okay, so that boom is from Evolution, Devastator Warzone, and there are like hundreds of booms on different notes of the keyboard. You can make different adjustments and so on and so on. I will leave it for here because it's not difficult to get that sound. It's a classical boom sound, a sub sound. In some other libraries, those kinds of instruments are called subtails, something like that, okay? But yeah, when the synth comes in, we also have that boom sound coming in. Okay. Yeah. The next instruments that I added are 3 in a row, and this time it's a riser, a whoosh, and a hit, and they are from Keep Forest, Evolution, Atlantica, Classic Trailer Toolkit from also from Keep Forest. But I can give you a tip on that side. I have like, I think 500 of those patches, because in every library there are hundreds of different whooshes and risers, and I think you find most of those classical stuff in all those libraries. There are a lot of libraries that have risers, whooshes, and hits. You don't need to buy exactly the libraries that I have. That's what I wanted to tell you. But yeah, with those kinds of instruments, I prefer to work with audio tracks because you can work very good with them here, make them louder, and draw in some lines to the instrument, fade it out. As you can see here, you just have to put the mouse in this way and you can fade it out. So it's very easy to work with those wave audio files. And yeah, let's listen to that riser sound alone. Okay, as you can see, it stops directly on the 10 bar. Okay. And it's also completely dry. There's no reverb, as you can see when it stops. Okay, so the next one is the whoosh sound. It's also not that loud because I let it fade out here, but together with the riser, it gives that war boom and that hit like another tail, if that makes sense to you. Let's just listen to the riser and the hit, and then you get the idea. Okay. And if we open the riser here, you can see in that whoosh, I have an EQ set. Let me just see if you can still see all my settings. Okay, yes, you can. Let's take a look at that EQ, what it does with the whoosh. If I take it away. So it cuts that high range. If you click on that headphones, you can listen to the part, to the sequence that the EQ cuts away. That's very handy with that FabFilter Pro Q. Okay, so nothing special, but I wanted to get rid of that higher end in that whoosh, and the same on that hit. Yes, for that hit, I also have that high end cut off, sorry. Let's bypass it. So you can hear it's complete different sound. And only if we listen to the sequence that we cut away, only that high register, I didn't want that in the hit, okay? Yeah, so and you also could see I added an additional reverb only to the hit from east-west, the Reynolds Hall, only to give a bit of extra reverb. Okay, so you can hear it in the end. Both of them together sound like this. And now with the war boom, it's what I told you before, that whoosh is like a tail of the war boom, okay? Okay, I think you get the idea. And if you have those wave files set up, you can always select them all and pretty much copy and paste them wherever you want to have them. So for me, those 4 are some kind of one big boom, including a riser, a whoosh, and a hit. So yeah, that was the idea behind that. And if we listen to that sequence here all together that we have here. Only the boom. Okay, and pretty much copy and paste the riser, the whoosh, and the heads here. So here we already have a nice variation, in my opinion. So we have that riser, whoosh, boom, that additional string sound, that variation in the piano melody, and those 2 synth coming to our track. But here we have to still think about how we continue. But luckily we already have something for this. So let's go on with the next instrument that I added. I wanted to have some additional percussion in the second part, and for that I was very lazy, but I have to admit these are the action strikes from Native Instruments, and they really sound good. I love them a lot because they make a great sound and they are very easy to adjust and just listen to them on your own. So it's pretty much a repeating pattern, basic 16th notes, nothing special. I chose the Dark City ensemble here. You can choose from a few of them. And the mod wheel is set straight to the same level, okay? So we only have one note playing, and it's the G3. So I don't want to dive too deep into that action strikes instrument. But if you can see the G3, it sounds like this. If you push the next G, there is something in the higher registers, and the next G, okay, even higher. And if you press the G2, it plays all together. But in this case, I did not want to play everything. I only wanted that part here. Yeah. Okay. The next instrument that I added was another instrument from Spitfire Audio. I wanted to have a little bit of brass in here as well. And for that, I chose the tenor trombones from Spitfire Symphonic brass. Yes, that's it. And I chose the long articulation and the tree microphone plus the outrigger microphone raised completely up. And let's listen to that on its own. And I will try to show you everything in one screen. So it's pretty much only an addition to the strings, okay? Let's listen to the brass and the strings here, because like I told you, I wanted to have a bit more variation here. So you get the idea. And what I really like is if you have some instruments that are recorded in the same room, and you have that here with Spitfire, the Hans Zimmer strings, and also the Spitfire Symphonic brass. They are all recorded in that same hall. But even if you work with Berlin strings, and I also love the Berlin series, if you start with a string library from them, it's very handy and often sounds much better if you just also use their brass library that comes from the same hall and that is recorded in the same hall, okay? Yeah, but let's keep it that simple and go on with our next instrument track. So now, as I told you before, I'm a great fan of low end. I was not happy enough with the low end coming from those booms. I wanted some pulse sound from the lower register. Let's listen to that pulse sound on its own, and then I will show you what it is. Okay, so as you can see, it's also one pattern up there, and down there I just have the key switches active. But if you wanna have a listen at the instrument, it's also from Evolution Devastator Warzone. There's a pulse folder, and I chose one of 100 pulses here. And yeah, that pulse sounds together with the action strikes that we just added. and with a synth. Now without the pulse. Okay, so you get the idea. If we play all together, you can hear what that pulse does. Okay, and that pulse also has an EQ on it, because from that pulse I cut off the low end. That sounds a bit weird, because we wanted to implement some low end to our track. That's why we chose that pulse, but just have a listen to that pulse, to what we cut away. Let's do it this way. Okay, for those of you who are listening with good headphones and subwoofer systems, they will hear what we cut away. It's a lot of that low-end rumble, and if you do not get rid of that, it makes your mix muddy and blows it up. So I still wanted to have the low end, but I cut off everything below 40 hertz, and yeah. Okay, that was not the war pulse, that was more, but only to clarify that. Okay, so yeah, nothing more to say to the pulse. Let's go on. Now it gets interesting. I added an instance of NOVO. NOVO is from Heaviosity, and NOVO is kind of, I use that instrument as a creative instrument because they have a lot of atmospheric and futuristic sounding loops. And yeah, just have a listen what it does if you just press one key. So you get the idea. The word that I was looking for was inspiring instrument. Yeah, that is a very inspiring instrument. And I use that if I want to make a track more dense and want to put in some more, some more instruments going on in the middle range or something else. And you can also solo instruments, you can mute instruments. And what I added here to this track is that instrument. Let's listen on its own. So I pressed two keys. Okay, so together with what we have already, I will just, I let it on. I'm sorry, that was not the NOVO. I always have to select it because the other instruments that you cannot see, they are also playing. Let's try it one more time. Something. Aha, I knew that. That was not the NOVO, that was the Forzo. I didn't want to show you this already here, but one more time, now only NOVO playing. NOVO. Okay, so you get the idea. It's a rhythmic pattern that comes in here, and I liked it a lot. And I wanted to have the same with Forzo. And Forzo is also from Heaviosity. It's the same instrument, only with brass and not with strings. But to clarify, those instruments also have traditional brass and string sections included. It's not only those inspiring pattern instruments. You also have an original string and brass section. But then this time, in this case, I wanted to use the evolving loop designer patches and was trying to find some inspiration. Yeah. Okay, so Forzo on its own sounds like this. And here you can see I muted the second instruments because I didn't like that in it. I felt like we don't need that one, but of course you can also choose different categories here in this second part. But let's leave it here and let's listen to NOVO and Forzo together. So in addition to those trombone patch from Spitfire, it's like sounds like that. So this is the traditional trombone patch, and with NOVO and Forzo. Okay, now it gets really busy, the mix, but that's what we wanted. Okay, so we wanted to create something like a main part here. So let's continue with finally our main instrument, lead instrument, let's say it like this. And for that, I chose Cinematic Studio Brass, the 4 horns patch, only because this library and that patch is it cuts through every mix. Yeah. Let's just listen to the horns patch on its own. Sorry, again, that voice is not included in the horns patch. I hope you know that. Just kidding. Let's make it correctly, like here. Here we are. Okay, so we already have you can see also with its own modulation, and we have a melody line. That is our lead melody line. Let's say it like this. So that sounds already pretty good, but I wanted to have something more in here. So I chose something more from the Cinematic Studio series. I chose the Violin 1 patch and pretty much played the same line. Let's see. yeah, I think it's playing the exact same line. Sorry. Now I wanna listen exclusively to the violins. Okay, and as you can see, Cinematic Studio Strings, first violins, and I will also show you the reverb. Many people always want to know which reverb we are using here. I hope you can see it. Yeah, it's the Cinematic Rooms Amethyst Hall. It's a fantastic reverb plugin from Liquid Sonics, and let's listen to it with the reverb. Without the reverb. So you can hear it stops immediately, and with the reverb, if I switch it on, now I turn it on. Okay, so you can hear that tail in the end. But yeah, let's go on with the second violin of the Cinematic Studio Strings. I added the same notes, but only one octave higher. As you can see, if I play them both together, it sounds like this. But everything else is pretty much copy and paste, okay? Only that we also have that same melody line going on one octave higher. And I also wanted to have a double bass in here. And that double bass is playing probably in the same range as our double bass up there. Let's check that. No, I was wrong, sorry. That double bass is playing one octave higher. Let's listen to that bass on its own. Yes. But you can hear, you could see that was the lowest register that the bass could play. And yeah, those three together let's one more time turn off the reverb. No reverb. And with the reverb, okay? So you get the idea. I just wanted to show you which reverb plugin I used for that. Now let's add that string part to our track and let's listen how all that sounds together. Now we have only one instrument missing, and that is our choir, the final instrument that I added to that whole track, and everything together in the final part sounds like this. Without the strings. I don't know if you feel it the same way as me, but now it feels like a complete middle part. Yeah, everything is included in our track. Before that, string section was there and there was something missing. And what I want to show you additionally in the end here is our horns play at the beginning the same note as, let me just for demonstration switch off that violin patch. Yeah, in the first register, if I solo that here, they play exact the same. But now it comes a bit of variation and the strings play a little later and a little bit different. So now with that, you can see how that sounds, that delay of the strings. So a little bit of a different melody, okay? And yeah, last but not least, our final instrument track is a choir plugin. That was the cherry on the cake, let's say it like this. For this instrument, I chose Shevannai. It's a plugin from Eduardo Tarilonte, fantastic female choir voice plugin. Let's listen to it on its own. And as you can see, if you have a look on that knob here, there's a lot going on. Not a lot, but that knob is moving around during I play, and I think I reduced the reverb a bit, but have a look at that knob. I automated that knob. If you click right, you can learn MIDI CC and give that knob to one of your MIDI controllers, and that knob is assigned to that control 25 in my case. And just have a look how it changes during I play it. Now have a listen, have a look at that. So that is that can show you how complex all those instruments are. We only touch one knob in this case, but I was not happy with the attack of the voice during that part. I wanted the attack to be a bit lower here in that mid part, so I automated it and then I raised it up for the last part. It stays the same, and also the expression, what is pretty much the volume of the instrument. Okay, so yeah, let's give it a listen, the final part with the choir. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the exact same order in which I composed that track. I added the instruments like I promised you in the beginning in that order, and yeah, now it's up to you, and I would like to read and hear your feedback about the track, about the video. Did you like that tutorial? Do you generally like that kind of videos? If you do, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. That would help me a lot and give a bit of extra motivation to always go on. Yeah, I just want to thank you for watching. If you are still here for the whole video, let me say thank you for watching that video. I'm happy for every single new subscriber. Thank you so much. If you're interested in the MIDI file for your own learning purposes, as I told in the beginning, you can download it in the link in the video description. Let's listen to the whole piece one more time, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.